Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. Today, I wanted to go over something that I feel a lot of people may have misunderstood about themselves, and it's very important. It is why individuals who are anxiously preoccupied, so anxious attachment style is another way you can call it, sometimes can push people away. Now, I know this topic can be a bit tricky and it may hurt some people's feelings, and that's not my intention. My goal is not to cause anyone distress or emotional pain when I share this. My goal is to help somebody, help them understand their behaviors, because all of us have flaws. And flaw is also an opinion, by the way. But I know a lot of individuals who are anxiously preoccupied, they want close relationships. They don't want people to leave them. And so sometimes they wonder, why does it keep happening? Why are people always running away from me? How come I can't make things work? Is there something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. But are there things that you're doing that you could do a little bit with a little different adjustment that could help people want to be a little closer to you? Yes. And that's just the truth. Not all the time does this apply, though. Now, I do work with anxious attached individuals, but I will admit I work with avoidance and secure attachment more frequently. And so if you guys are anxiously attached, let me know some of your perspectives as well. I do still work with a lot of them, so I do have a good foundation of it, but let me know your thoughts on it so that I can also learn and have more information for you guys in the future and my patients, okay? So, I wanted to go over some reasons why anxiously attached folks can accidentally push people away, because I know it's not on purpose. I want to bring up any examples that I share are fictional. They're not real, okay? So let's give an example today and talk about what's going on, and I want you guys to tell me what your thoughts are as well. So let's make an example together. Let's say we have a secure male, right? And this is a really common example. Like, you guys might even know relationships like this. I see it all the time. We have a secure male and an anxious, preoccupied female. And by the way, not all anxious, preoccupied are female, just the example that we're coming about today. Let's say they come in for couples therapy. And we're here, I've been working with them for a while, and we're discussing some of their dynamics in their relationship. And during this session, we have a little bit of a breakthrough, right? So the secure male, he comes in, and, during the session, we're kind of starting our session, and he says, and he admits, you know what? I've been feeling overwhelmed, tired, and I'm starting to check out of this relationship. Oh, and you think about it and you think, okay, I know this guy is secure. He communicates well. He's not avoidant, but he's kind of talking a little bit, maybe like it could be perceived that way. He's not avoidant though. He's not, because that's actually normal to feel that way. And then I ask him, okay, what's going on? Let's say his partner is right next to him. We're still in couple session, but he's honest and direct, right? He's secure and he wants to make it work. So I tell him what's going on, and he reports to me in this, fictional session. He's saying there's way too many fights and there's way too many frequent nagging. She continuously brings up the same topic again and again and again. I feel like I can't catch a break. And then he mentions, I am trying my best to repair this relationship. That's why I wanted couples therapy. But it feels like it's never enough. She always finds something else to pick on about. And I feel like she can never just enjoy the relationship. She's always got to pick at something, okay? And I'm hearing him. And then he says, I also feel like she takes things too personal, and I feel like I can't be honest without her reacting. I am honest and I try to be, but I feel like it's hard to want to be honest because she takes it so personal. I can't tell her how I feel, and she takes everything almost offensively. And so I mentioned, okay, I hear you and I can understand that perspective. So then let's say I turn to her and I say, how do you feel about this? Why are you feeling this way? What's your perspective of this? What's your side, right? What's going on? Help me fill in the blanks, because I'm just hearing this today. What's going on? And she states to me, well, I want to get married before the age of 30. Let's say they're in their 20s. And she feels like time is running out. And I'm listening. Okay, that's valid. If that's really how you feel, I understand. She also mentions, he also stays out too late with his friends, right? And I wanted her to elaborate. And let's say she says, yeah, sometimes he comes home at 11 p.m. One time on the weekend, he came at 1 a.m. and I was worried. That sounds kind of valid. I hear that. And then she says, I feel like he avoids me. And then she mentioned another thing. And she said, all my friends are getting married. Okay. And she says, I feel like there are plenty of men out there that will get married within a year. And we've been together for more than a year. We're still not married. Okay. Interesting. So let's say we took both of these, and I want you guys to also kind of take the therapist role. Obviously you can't. You don't have a license, but we're just pretending. We're pretending. What are you seeing? So here's what I'm noticing in this dynamic. First of all, they both have merit, right? Secure and anxious. They both are speaking some legitimacy. Neither of them are just talking out of their whatever, right? There's something real about this. So let's talk about some of the things that she mentioned as well as what he mentioned, okay? I'm assuming, this is my assumption based on what I just heard and probably what I know about this couple, right? I think he's not always being direct with her or upfront with her because he is afraid to upset her, because maybe she is more reactive than he is. And so, because he's doing that to not get her mad, she feels confused. And she's starting to feel a little bit of mixed signals. And he probably is staying out a little bit late, and maybe he is avoiding her because he's afraid to make her mad, right? And so that's making her even more anxious. And so now the cycle is continuing, but he's not avoidant, right? Which is why he's telling me this up front and why he's saying he wants a change. And to me, this is the part that I want to emphasize, and I want you guys to tell me as well. It sounds like to me, she's not accepting some of the things that he's saying because it's too painful to admit. Instead of admitting that maybe she is being too much right away. Now, I'm not saying that she's always like this, but maybe maybe she's being a little bit pushy. Sounds like a strong word. I just didn't have the right word. You guys can help me fill in that word. Instead of admitting that there's some merit to what he's saying, it's easier to point out that he doesn't care, right? Let's say in previous sessions she has mentioned he's uncaring, he's not a good man. And let's also look at her last point. She mentioned her friends are all getting married, and she feels like there are plenty of men that get married in 1 year. But that's not always accurate. Yes, there are, and maybe they have many different reasons why, but it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. That's where she's coming from. He loves me less. He loves me less. He needs to change. That's not necessarily true. There are many reasons why, and he's being honest. And he's trying his very best, but maybe financially there are reasons why he's not getting married right now. It doesn't mean he's stringing her along. But it's hard for her to see that. She's making a lot of comparisons, by the way. How do you think he feels if she is saying there are plenty of men that get married in 1 year? What if he said there are plenty of women who are more patient with their partners? That sounds pretty mean. Well, she's also being a little bit mean, I think. I understand where she's coming from, and I know it's hard, but I feel like their dynamic is that she's perceiving what he does as personal against her. Him staying late with his friends probably have nothing to do with her. It might, but probably not as much. Him not wanting to get married right away has nothing to do with her. And what was one of his points? He said she takes things too personally. So genuinely, it's possible that if she didn't take things so personally, she wouldn't be so upset and their relationship could be a little bit more comfortable. It's possible that her expectations are a little bit unrealistic for his situation. He's not avoidant, he's secure. Remember that. So she's actually making him he's showing up with a little bit more avoidant traits, even though he's not avoidant at all, because she is pushing towards commitment so quickly that he's almost reacting to that. This is really common. I know a lot of you guys are saying, no, that's not true. He's probably avoidant. No, I see this so much, so often, where a secure individual may pick up avoidant traits in a relationship simply because they're with an anxious preoccupied. So if you're an anxious preoccupied individual, try not to take things so personally. Try to understand where your partner is coming from. I understand that you want to feel loved and you want to feel secure, but it's important to realize some of those feelings are a wound. And I'm just being honest with you. It doesn't mean that you can't get married. It doesn't mean, and if you want to get married before 30, you have that right. If that's really what you want, you can leave the relationship. But he cannot do certain things for whatever reason. He may not feel financially ready. Maybe he wants to buy an expensive ring. That happens a lot. Rings can be an investment. He wants to make sure that he has the money. He doesn't want to take debt out for that ring, and he still has to pay his mortgage. There are reasons why this is happening. It may have nothing to do with how he feels. Something to remember. So let's give another example. Let's change it up a bit. Let's say we have an avoidant man and an anxious, preoccupied female. Again, not all anxious, preoccupied are female, just using this as an example. So let's look at it another way. This is more common, by the way. Let's say a new couple, right? Avoidant man, anxious female. They come in for therapy. And let's say the female sits down, first session, we call it our intake session. She comes in and tells me the reason why she wants this is because she wants him to open up and heal his attachment issues. Okay? That's fair. That's fair. He's maybe looks very disinterested, and she's saying, this is what I want. She also tells me while he's sitting next to her, again, this example we're just talking, she wants him to go to individual therapy, but he refuses. So during the first session, we do our intake where, she's talking a lot. Maybe he's not talking as much. And then I'm building rapport with both of them. So I'm trying to get his side, and I'm asking his perspective in a way that avoidants tend to be more reactive towards, which could be more logical, more direct. And I actually come across, I am a more logical and direct person just naturally. So the rapport is tending to build easier in that regard. Not always the case, not with every therapist. It just happens. Every person is different. Just something to point out. And so let's say during the first session, he already is starting to state, which happens, the reason why he didn't want to go to couples therapy in the beginning. So he's telling me this. Towards the end of the session, they love to drop these bombs. Let's say he says, because I'm afraid that I'll be accused and ridiculed. And he said, even being here is a lot, and I will show up to the session next week. But she doesn't see that as progress. Let's say he told me that. Okay, that makes sense. And I can already see that. And so now let's talk about as the sessions continue. We already talked about intake. Let's talk about as it continues. What do we start seeing? He starts admitting. He feels that she is overwhelming. He feels constantly criticized. She struggles with accountability. This is what he's telling me. Just an example, but this is common, right? Nothing he says gets to her head, right? Every time he tells her something is an issue, she says he is detached and avoidant and he can't love, so he's the issue. That's how he takes it. Okay, that's fair. What does she have to say, right? This is couples therapy. You both get a say. You always both get a say. She claims he goes out for hours without replying to her messages. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. They have been together for years and they haven't discussed marriage yet. That doesn't sound very good either. And she says he doesn't want to change. Okay. So the last one to me, I don't know if I agree, but I'm listening. And the reason why is because he said that he is trying. He said that he's coming into session to try, but she doesn't see that. So again, avoidance can be very direct and harsh. So all the things that he said came across pretty harsh. But what is the overall theme? What he's trying to say is, I'm trying my best and nothing gets to her head. I feel like she's overwhelming and she doesn't seem to give me credit for what I'm doing. That's how I took it. What do you guys think? And what she's feeling is that he doesn't care enough about some of the reasons that she's feeling ignored and neglected. And that's why she perceives that he doesn't want to change, because he still is not replying to messages as quickly. But in his mind, he's thinking, I am changing, maybe not where you want me to. I'll get there, but I showed up to this couples therapy, so I am changing a little bit. You just don't see it. So both perspectives hold merit, right? But the anxious partner is showing anxiety and frustration, likely coming from her partner's lack of effort. While the avoidant is actually stating some of his detachment is coming from her over-attachment. So both are correct. So what can we do to correct this dynamic? I want you guys to, put your thinking cap on as well. What do you think can happen? So here's what I think. Him coming to session is a step in the right direction. But she doesn't see that as enough. Maybe it's important to realize that maybe it is enough for now. And anxious, preoccupied individuals, they get a lot of tunnel vision. It's because of their fear of not believing that things can ever be better for them. They feel like if it's not happening now, it'll never happen. That's not true. If an avoidant is making some effort, there's likely going to be more effort. He showed up to session now. Maybe in a couple months, he's going to answer those messages more quickly. Maybe. Life is dynamic, right? It doesn't mean he doesn't have to do the work. But what's happening is she's becoming very overwhelming. And she's putting that onto him. She's not giving him credit where credit is due. A lot of anxious, preoccupied individuals, especially when they're frustrated, they become almost like insulting and critical. And that makes avoidance pull away and secure people pull away because it's not a healthy reaction. And this is why, the main reason why anxious, preoccupied individuals push people away, because they do not understand that sometimes there are different ways to express your emotions. Sometimes it means that you have to sit down and feel the emotion that you're feeling and believe that the possibility of the most negative outcome that you're feeling in your head is not the truth. Just because he's not replying to your messages does not mean he doesn't love you. That's the real reason why it bothers you. It does not mean this relationship is going to fail. It probably means that he's busy, he's tired, or he just doesn't want to answer the message, but has nothing to do with you. It's probably having to do with him, whether he's secure or whether he's avoidant. It's very important to realize the dynamic with an avoidant is challenging, but that doesn't mean what your partner is saying has no merit just because they're an avoidant. That is a very common misconception, and it's also why anxious, preoccupied individuals can push people away. If their partner has any sort of issue, like being an avoidant, they believe that because of that, everything the avoidant is saying has no merit. You're just saying that because you're an avoidant. I'm not too clingy. It's because you're an avoidant. Yeah, but maybe there's some truth to it. I'm not saying you're clingy, but maybe there's a little bit of something that you could pull back on. I know it's hard to hear, but I'm just being honest with you. It's important to recognize that every individual is different. Your side is just as valid as their side. And by the way, this is not just anxious, preoccupied. Almost every person who comes into couples session believe, hey, I'm here because I'm trying to fix my partner. I don't need changing. They do. You both need to adjust. Just something to remember. I'm not picking on anxious, preoccupied, but that's what the video is about, right? I know relationships are hard. And I know that you guys have trauma, and that's not lost on me. So, what can you do to decrease this dynamic? Work towards accepting the reality instead of trying to always change it. If your partner is with you in a relationship, that means they want to be here. Because if they didn't, they would leave you. So believe that this is something valuable because they are here. Again, I'm not saying to stay with somebody who mistreats you. I'm just saying try and look at the positive aspects. Try and balance it, okay? When your partner tells you something about what they want or what they see in you, understand that just because they're an avoidant doesn't mean it doesn't have any merit. Maybe by understanding what they're talking about, you can use this to connect with them. If they're saying that you are asking too much of them, take that in. Okay, I'll back up a little bit. Thank you for telling me. I didn't realize I was doing that. Take that as an opportunity to connect. I am not saying bend over backwards. I'm just saying that both of you may benefit from adjusting to one another. And the last one, be patient with yourself and your partner. You didn't ask to be anxiously attached. It came from trauma. Same with your partner if they're avoidant. It came from trauma. And if your partner is secure, they still may have a little bit of trauma, probably not attachment focused. Maybe no trauma. I can't really say that because anything, I guess, could be trauma depending on how they perceive it. But be patient with yourself and your partner. Relationships are hard. The fact that you're even trying is enough. It's enough for your avoidant partner. It's enough for your secure partner. It's enough for you. As long as everybody's trying, it's all good, okay? I hope this video was helpful to someone. I apologize if it was a little hurtful. I just want to help. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one.